Good afternoon, everyone. I know we're standing between you and lunch, so we're going to make these answers really crisp and very interesting. Unfortunately, Rafi is held up in a meeting, so I'm going to quickly fill in for him with the notes that he's given me. I have with us two very distinguished guests, Kumar from Retailers Association of India and Shirish Joshi from ONDC, two companies two organizations that are doing so much to enhance the retail space, the e-commerce space, the omni-channel space, and make it available, democratizing this entire space for all of us. And I have a few questions for each of you. So Kumar, let's start with you. And our conversations around how the delivery revolution or how QC and e-commerce and omni-channel is all coming together. So what goes into building a quick commerce operation, Kumar? When we see it, we are seeing it only from the convenience point of view, but what's the back end of it?
Thank you, Shiny. Thank you for calling us here. I think we will wait for Rafi to come subsequently, but for now, I'll just try and open this up. Before I even jump on to answer, I need the audience to kind of pay attention. Everybody here? I want all of you to just answer one question. How many of you shopped on any of the quick commerce websites in the last 1 year? In the last 1 month? In the last 1 week? Today? Okay. I once more go back to last 1 week. Raise your hands. So there are people who didn't raise their hands at all. Are you not shopping at all? Or are you feeling shy? Don't feel shy. It's okay. I won't take your money. So thank you. I think this is what makes quick commerce work. The fact is that all of us want to shop. So there are 2-3 things that I always say is essential for retail. 1, do the customers want it? 2, can we do it? And 3, can we afford it? So the first 2 answers are easy because as consumers, we always say that if I want something in my mind, I need it as soon as possible. That's how we are. We are hard-coded for instant gratification. If you go back to anything that you do in your lives, as soon as you've taken a decision to purchase or acquire something, you would love it if you get it immediately. So quick commerce enhances that. So that's the first part of it. In fact, about 5 years before, I had about 40 CEOs of various retail companies in a particular room, and I asked them, for a minute, let's shut our eyes and think we are only customers. Tell me, what would you like if you are a customer to happen today? And 80% of them told me that I'd like to get an item at the speed of thought. Yeah, 5 years ago. And see what's happened now. Some of them are involved in a quick commerce enterprise also, but that's the way life is. So that's one. The second part of the story is, why is it possible in India? Because India is really high density. When you've got very high density of population, it's easier to do quick commerce at scale. Because one single delivery person can take off as much as 8 people's delivery at a time, and that makes life easier for everybody. So that's the second part. The third part is that India's cost of labor is cheaper than most other parts of the world. So it becomes easier. Rafi is also here. So Rafi, please come up. I think Shiny has taken up your job and I'm trying to answer some questions. So that is the third part. So I think this is what is the basis for quick commerce. The rest of it is about having the right technology, operational excellence, various things, nuts and bolts that you'll need to understand to make it really work. I don't know how many of you worked or are working in a quick commerce company or working as a service provider to quick commerce company. If there are people like this, raise your hands. None of you is working with a quick commerce company or, oh, there is one person. So we know whom to ask the next question to. You provide service to the quick commerce company or you're working with them? He provides advertising services. So we'll go back to you at some time because you are the difference between they making money and not making money. I know, because they're not making money by selling items. It's the ad revenue that's going to make them make money. We'll wait and watch.
Wonderful. And next question, Kumar, to you still. That yesterday we discussed this and we asked this to Marico on QC is a very high burn channel, right? So losing a lot of money. And we read articles every day which say, Zepto lost so much and Blinkit lost so much and this thing. So with such high burn channels, do you still see, scale coming up? How and when? What is the future of this? If I have to say, are we just burning money? I'm completely pro this because when e-com started, this is exactly the trend we saw.
Yeah, you took the words from my mouth, Shiny, actually. This is deja vu because 6, 7, 8 years before, the same questions were being asked, but about e-commerce, right? Now people have stopped asking that question because they take it for granted that it's going to burn money, but we'll still live with it. At what point will they turn around? Nobody knows, but we'll have to wait and watch. But the same thing happened to large retail businesses. I was involved with Shoppers Stop when we set up Shoppers Stop way back in '93. And some people asked, why do you ever create such a big store? It's like having a white elephant with you, right? But things changed. Many of you who are old enough would have gone to Ansal Plaza the first time to go and shop at Shoppers Stop here. When I set up Shoppers Stop here at Ansal Plaza, the same questions were asked. So these kinds of things keep coming up. Whenever there is something very new, people will question it, ask how are you going to make money. But if there is customer available and if there are methods getting, I'll call it invented or you're innovating, things will change. It's not necessarily that only the first person who comes in is going to win. It could be the second or the third or the fourth business, but some winners will emerge eventually. And I do hope that your questions will go to him because I hope that he is going to be the guy who's going to create winners in this business.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Shirish, ONDC started with the idea that this is going to democratize e-commerce for the whole country. Where do you see Tier 2, Tier 3 featuring in the QC race?
Okay, two parts, right? We right now clock more than 5 lakh orders a day, so that averages to 15 to 16 million a month. More than half of that comes from Tier 2, Tier 3. Right? So that's already a participation that is present.
All right.
Now, quick commerce, as Kumar explained, is partly does the consumer want it, does the industry support it, and can the system afford it? From an affordability standpoint, you have to also recognize that if somebody has to pay for a certain quantum of delivery, then they will weigh it against whether I should go and pick it up myself or pay for it. You also have to understand how the city infrastructure is changing. Smaller tier towns and indeed even the big cities 2-3 decades ago had neighborhoods and you had markets in the neighborhood. It was very easy to walk across and buy. And it was very difficult. And sometimes the shopkeeper would also deliver. So delivery is not new. Now with modern way in which societies are coming up, large condominiums are coming up, nothing is walking distance. So you may not even have an alternative but to order something. So in part it's being shaped by how the newer cities are emerging, but Tier 2, Tier 3 is not changing as dramatically. So both from a physical need, second from an economic affordability, we may not see the same participation in the way rapid uptake has been in the big cities. So we'll see how it plays out. The other thing to remember is if it has to be quick, it can't be everything. There's an automatic conflict between the two. If I have the entire assortment in the world, then how can also be quick and affordable at the same time? So it will find its natural limit and all forms of commerce will coexist. So this is one more now that's added to the buffet of commerce choices that we have. And people will choose depending on what they want to buy. Do I go to the physical one? Do I go to the normal e-commerce? Do I go to the quick one? What is the right combination of assortment, cost, and experience that I get?
Absolutely. So Rafi, we have Rafi with us. He is the content head for National Retailers Federation. That is another event that we do in Singapore. This is the NRF APAC. So welcome, Rafi. Rafi, do you want to tell us a little bit? Can we have this mic? Yeah. Rafi, do you want to tell us a little bit about NRF and about, is there some aspects of quick commerce in fashion specifically in the Southeast Asian market? I've heard bits and pieces of it. Is it true that I can get a dress in 2 hours?
Well, okay, so again, thank you for the 3-part question there. First of all, apologies to everybody. I have had my experience with Delhi traffic, and here I am a little bit late. I do apologize. Now, a little bit about NRF, the National Retail Federation. It is the oldest retail federation in the United States, and they run the longest running domestic trade show in the US, which has gone for over 113 years, right? And in 2024, they wanted to expand to the Asia Pacific region, which is where we come in. And we organized the show in Singapore last year, right, in June 2024. So this year, the NRF APEC will be happening from the 3rd to the 5th of June 2025 in Singapore. And of course, everybody is invited, right? And the reason why we have this show is because we want to understand the issues in retail, in the wider Asia Pacific region. And there are so many things in India that are being done that are not being done anywhere else, right? And quick commerce is definitely one of those things where you talk about, when I first had a conversation with Kumar where he told me, oh, you can get the newest iPhone in 7 minutes. That blew my mind, right? And we wanted to learn a little bit more about this, which is why we will also have a dedicated quick commerce session in Singapore for this particular topic. Now, going on from that, where you mentioned about what's happening in the Southeast Asia region, we don't have quick commerce in the measure of minutes, no, right? We have food delivery can maybe take an hour. You have groceries, which take about 6 hours plus. Traditional e-commerce, we're so far along now in the e-commerce revolution that traditional e-commerce means delivery for items and goods 2 to 3, maybe even 4 working days, right? But there are companies that are experimenting in the fashion space to try and have delivery of fashion items within 3 to 4 hours, right? And the thing is that it's happening at a slow pace because this is again not been done in the region before. And what we want to learn from the wider Asia Pacific perspective is how India is making this work. What can India teach the rest of the world? And that's why we're here to have these conversations. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rafi. I think Myntra, I heard, is experimenting with 3 to 4 hour deliveries, so quick commerce deliveries of fashion. While they do deliver in a day, I can tell you all that from experience, but 3 to 4 hours, what do you think? Is that a possibility, both of you? I mean, what are your thoughts there? Fashion for 3 hours, in 2 hours.
So I think the possibility exists, but if you have a single organization that is trying to solve for this in a way that they currently don't have, then it means you have to acquire space, build a warehouse, add technology, add people, build a delivery ecosystem around it, and then be able to solve for it. There is an alternative, and what the Open Network is trying to do is, if you digitize an existing market, and you collect the pool of delivery people that those store owners have, and make them available for delivery, then you can, in theory, do quick delivery of almost anything that's available in the country without having to build an infrastructure for it. So I think the question becomes not whether it is possible, but what's the most economical way to make it available for the entire country in an inclusive fashion and an affordable fashion.
Kumar?
Yeah, it's actually, like I said, it goes the other way around. If you want it as a consumer, I'm sure there is somebody intelligent enough to make it done
Definitely
for you.
want it.
And then you've got your own sets of requirements from every single product or service that you normally would buy. So it could be an item of fashion, like what you're saying, if it's Myntra kind of fashion products. So you'll see, where can I get my fashion fast enough? So even today, if you're sitting here and I've heard of people who want to get some sportswear available to them in 10 seconds because they've just realized that they are going out to play golf and they don't have a golf gloves with them. In fact, yesterday somebody was telling me I did not get gloves for golf specifically from a quick commerce company. So in fact, I immediately called up some of my friends in the quick commerce and told them, even if you can't give it to every single house, can you make, because quick commerce is capable of looking at demand in a particular place, you can tell that, okay, don't worry, you go to your golf course and it will be available to you at the golf course. So it makes everything easier, right? So there are methods to make it happen because you can pin code wise create demand and then to take care of the fulfillment. It can also be item-wise demand and fulfilling it in that form, depending upon what you want to buy. It can be anything that you want to fulfill with quick commerce. That's the way life is, right? So I think things will change, but there are special things that will happen with some of these items. For example, if you're buying fashion, the need for exchange becomes very high. Today, any fashion retailer who's selling on e-commerce knows that he's going to get about 15% returns because people are exchanging for sizes, they've bought with a particular thought about a color, they've got a particular thought about the make, they think it's going to be of a particular GSM, it's not the same GSM, various things comes in. So you change it and that change has to be provided for, but it's not difficult. If you can deliver, you can take back. Some of those companies, as I speak, are trying to see whether they can take back an item in 10 minutes also. So things will change. Wait for 1 year at the most.
Wonderful. Shirish, coming to you, ONDC's played a massive role in democratizing e-commerce. What was clearly a tier one play, what was clearly a language play. You've done a fabulous job of, making it possible for every individual to be, every seller to be on an e-commerce platform. How do you think this will play out? How will QC, which is, again, like I said, high burn game, play out for smaller retailers? I mean, what is the government doing something about it? I mean, we saw a lot of hue and cry about this.
Sure. So, two parts. First, while we are legally a Section 8 private sector company, but we were created at the behest of the government. The Commerce Ministry wanted a solution created. So the government is behind this. So in a way, ONDC is also an act of the government. Second is that the task of realizing this democratization dream is not just about the intent, but there are many components that are needed. For example, if you have to onboard a Kirana store can have anywhere from 500 to 2,000 items. That has to be digitized. So we're building a core catalog that has a typical item that a Kirana store might have. So instead of taking 3-4 days to digitize a store, you could probably do it in 3 to 4 hours using that standard catalog. That's the manner in which ONDC is creating the tools and the infrastructure side of things to be able to enable them. Now, but that's only one part of it. Then the second part comes is how does the demand get driven? And I think what is taking place because of e-commerce is a lot of spending, and I've heard some of the sessions as well, a lot of marketing spending is going not for the brand or a product that is being bought, but in the channel in which it's being bought. Right? Now, channel is only a method by which somebody buys, and they can buy from one channel or the other. A channel is a substitute for another channel. The product may not be. So I think the retailers are carrying a consortium of products, but they always have. So I think there'll be a larger role for brands to play, which is channel agnostic, store agnostic, but a widespread availability whereby a demand for a product leads to purchase from the most convenient, appropriate neighborhood store. And indeed from stores, So often in e-commerce, we are buying from stores we don't know. We need the surrogacy of a rating that, 500, 600 people we don't know have bought and given some sort of a rating, versus being able to buy the products we bought from the stores we've always bought it from. So your Bittu stationery shop and you can buy from him, and your Ramesh Kirana store and you can buy from him, and the Lakshmi apparel store and you buy from them. You know these stores. And so the ability to take existing trusted relationships, to take existing affordable commerce and make that part of the digital landscape, that's how it'll be solved for the world, because the big high cost infrastructure will only go so far. Because it is efficient only when there is a high concentration of demand, ability to pay, and those factors are present only in some localities. They will not be nationwide present. And as you get to thinner densities, as you get to longer distances, as you get to lower desire to pay for things like delivery, it'll automatically start reaching. So then how do you go beyond that? The only way you go beyond that is, rather than invent a new system and force it down a multicultural society, is to take what they do today as commerce and digitize that. And that's what ONDC hopes to achieve. And that's how democratization can become possible.
Absolutely. It's going to be omni-channel for the brand and for the consumer, depending on the need, depending at that point. How does it play out in the Southeast Asia region?
I actually have a question, right, for you, Shirish, because one of the things in the Southeast Asian region that we have is the pressure to adopt a more modernized way of looking at retail, right? Which, smaller retailers, trying to convince them to become part of this digitized ecosystem. Sometimes that economic pressure is not there, right? Or they feel like the cost of, say, human capital is significantly low enough that they will just throw bodies at the problem rather than look to digitize their stock. So my question to you is, how do you convince, these Kirana stores, these smaller retailers that this is for their benefit? How do you get them on board with the system, with the platform, that you are trying to convince them is good for them?
Sure. So everyone is feeling the pressure of digitized commerce. And in many cases, that wherever that is acute, you have much more ready people. Right? Nothing gets adopted overnight with a single use case. Everything that's around us, let's take mobile phones, let's take the internet, didn't happen overnight. It's taken a few decades for it to be adopted. So today, there'll be a whole bunch of retailers who will recognize, yes, I have a problem, and if I can become part of it, it'll be solved. Once they join, they start developing solutions, then more people will join. So it's not a one shot, one switch, everybody turns on. But there are enough people who want a solution, and there are enough people who are willing to help them find that solution. We are part of that solution. So I think the adoption that we are seeing, we'll start seeing more and more takers. We are now not just talking about the typical retailers or stores that everyone is familiar with. We're talking about artisans, we're talking about farmers. They're also present on our network. They're also being able to sell not just in their own locality, but on a nationwide level. So as more and more people discover what's possible, then the word will spread and the economics will make it easy for them to join. They've not been able to participate in the existing e-commerce because they can't afford the cost that those channels require. Whereas this becomes a much more affordable way to participate.
So yeah, so it's about gaining critical mass, you know,
Yes.
and all that, and then
So it'll be sequential. Some successes gains more, then more successes, and that gets more.
then you're driving FOMO, you know, the
That's
fear of missing out, right? Yeah, because like that's an issue that we have in Southeast Asia, where, you know, the adoption rate can be slow and painfully slow. In, you know, as I mentioned earlier, only a few retailers and platforms are doing things like 3 to 4 hour clothes delivery or grocery delivery, right? And I think all we need is just that one retailer who's going to come up and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start delivering iPhones in 6 minutes. The rest have to catch up with me. Thank you so much for your insight. Yeah.
I think I have the last question. I think we're coming between modernism, growth, and protectionism. I think there is a fine line to thread here. You've been evangelizing the retail space for a very long time, and I know that physical retail is very, very close to your heart, so is it to mine. Where do you think we draw this fine line between these three, pockets?
Retail is close to my heart. I have zero attachment to a channel. I have zero thoughts that you can do business only with a particular set of things. For example, there could be somebody who is selling, let's say, tomatoes just across our road. They've got zero technology, but some of us do find value in the kind of tomatoes that they're able to keep there, which is better than the tomatoes you'd find in a supermarket and better than the tomatoes that gets delivered to you in a quick commerce website, right? Sometimes you wonder whether quick commerce is delivering you a product that you thought in your mind at all. You see the size of a lemon sometimes, it's so small that you think, this is not what I want. So there is always these differences that happens, but technology is definitely going to help everybody. As Retailers Association, our job is to try and help everybody, which is why I'm closely associated with Open Network for Digital Commerce. I'm also an advisor to ONDC, because I do believe that everybody should have a chance to get themselves onto a level wherein they can compete in an open marketplace. So anything that's level playing field, we would definitely support as Retailers Association. If something's going to help only 1 or 2 or 3 players to the detriment of others, that's not the kind of environment that we'd want. So the very clear thought process for an association, because we are a not-for-profit association again, and we are created by retailers for the benefit of retail as an industry overall, not just retailers. Our job is to make sure that whatever is happening in the environment is happening with level playing field. But even on a level playing field, some will do better than others. But that's the way businesses are. They are competing in the marketplace. So compete in the marketplace, collaborate in the association or at the industry level is what we normally talk about. So it's all there to be really enjoyed. And end of the day, if you are in retail, there is only one God for us, the customer. You talked about adoption, right? If 4 of my customers are coming and telling me that I've already started buying from quick commerce, I will have to start thinking differently. One way is for me to think I am going to kill quick commerce altogether, which is a Herculean task and it's anti-consumer. The other way is to say, how can I get as good as any other quick commerce? Then I'll go back to Sirish and tell me, boss, how do I make sure that I can also be on this quick commerce? You know what? I can now tell you, you can buy from your trusted retailer at as fast a speed as any other quick commerce. Now tell what the customer will choose. If I can buy my good, my rice, my atta, my paneer from my favorite person at the same speed, I'll buy from there. I had a very interesting conversation outside, and I have to tell this before we go. I had a conversation with one of your teammates from AdTech, right? This lady is married. She's got a child who is 8 years of age. She's also got the in-laws there. I'm not going to name the person. But she gave me a fantastic perspective of how customers behave. She told me that her father-in-law and mother-in-law buy because they've always known that nearby Kirana Wala, they know him well and they only can shop from them. They don't even want to touch e-commerce. Now she is buying from both e-commerce, quick commerce, e-commerce, actually three, quick commerce, e-commerce as well as from the nearby Kirana Wala, and that's working. And she does that because she's going to the nearby because she feels I've known him for a long time. I've got this sense of guilt. So my guilt is making me go and buy. The kid has got no such attachment, no such guilt, no such worries. The kid is saying, I will buy wherever it's available to me if I can trust it. If the kid is getting it from quick commerce immediately, she buys it from there. If she is playing down on the ground and the nearby chocolate man is there, she goes and buys from the chocolate guy who is nearest. So she has no such attachment at all. And this is what is real loyalty. The loyalty is not to be for the customer to have. The loyalty is for the retailer to have. So I always say loyalty is not about you tell customers to be loyal to you. You do those things that will make them come back to you again and again by going back to the customers. So if the Kirana goes back to the customer, they will change. If they don't go back to the customer, that's the way life is.
Keeping consumers front and center, I think that's the play all throughout. Rafi, I think a lot of us are retailers here and we would like to attend NRF. How do we go about doing it? If you could tell us, how do we
Well, if you would
come
like
to NRF?
If you would like to come and attend NRF in Singapore, first thing, you need to come to Singapore. Registration and tickets are open right now. So one of the, we want India to come, right? For two reasons. Number one, we want to understand your perspectives here in the region, especially what lessons you can teach us about quick commerce, about digital commerce, because there are things that are being done here that are not being done anywhere else in the world, right? And we feel that there's a huge learning opportunity there. The other side of that, why we also want India to come, is because we feel that how we are addressing some of the wider issues in Asia Pacific retail that will be covered at the NRF APEC conference will resonate with with the Indian audience, right? From things like data organization, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of these things, the way that we want to address them, we feel that there's a lot of value for our Indian friends to come and visit us and to learn, And if you want to do so, please check out the website at nrfapecbigshow.nrf.com. Right, and we have. If you scan the QR codes that you will see all around the venue, you can then be taken to our registration site where you will get 33% off on conference tickets if you are, if you want to come. Right, and on top of that, we'll also have discounts for those of you that fly with our official airline partner, Singapore Airlines. Right, and yeah, so please come. There are so many conversations that we want to have with our brothers and sisters in Indian retail. There's so many conversations that our APAC brothers and sisters want to have with Indian retailers. And we are more than happy to host you and welcome you to Singapore, 3rd to 5th June, 2025.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think our time's up. We would have loved to continue, but we can take questions offline. Thank you so much, Kumar. Thank you so much, Shirish. This was a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Rafi.
Thank you, Shani.
Thank you very much indeed. If I could request all our speakers to please step forward for a group photograph. And what an interesting nugget of perspective that we managed to gather from all of our speakers. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have